My name is Adrian. I'm the co-founder and the CIO of Binary. We are from Germany. I'm very excited to share with you our next app release, which is called Breeze. It is about content archiving and keeping your Confluence free of clutter and organizing so you can better collaborate with your team. I guess all of you are using Confluence. It's such a great system for collaboration, for sharing documents. It really represents one place where all teams share their knowledge and collaborate on any new projects, any new ideas, store lots of documentation. In the beginning, if you start a company, you usually start with a very fresh and clean Confluence system. Maybe have only some spaces, like in this example, 3. But of course, you add new spaces, you create new pages, and things already start to build up. As you grow with becoming a bigger company, you add more and more spaces. And of course, you add more and more pages. And this can be a severe problem. I don't know if you experience it, but we got lots of feedback, especially from medium to bigger companies, of really having big Confluence system and lots of clutter. We experience there is a big problem that Confluence can actually suffer from ever-growing and uncontrolled information. Everything is growing, new pages everywhere, and many of these pages are actually outdated. People don't know whether these are still relevant or not. Confluence grows into much cluttered system. And also this is because of low content quality. So people no longer know which content really is relevant, which pages are actually outdated, which parts of content need to be reviewed. And this is really a waste of time. In the end, it's not only a waste of time, it's also a waste of money. And in this little table, I just provide you short examples with 2 assumptions. If we assume, for instance, that a user actually wastes 10 minutes per month, so this is not much, it's only 10 minutes per month, and this is easily done in medium to bigger companies just by looking through outdated pages, by chatting with colleagues, asking about whether this content is still relevant or not. If we further assume that his wage is dollars per hour, like in the US, this really adds up. As you can see, this adds up to $400 wasted for a Confluence system of 100 users, but adds up into the thousands, for instance, if you have a company or a Confluence size of 1,500 users. So you have 7,000 wasted dollars each and every month. Of course, this is based on assumption, but imagine it's only 5 minutes per user that is wasted. These numbers still remain very high. So all that's what I'm going to show here is that it is really a severe problem and it just is unnecessary. That's why we decided to develop Breeze. And the slogan is, it's content archiving made simple for Confluence Cloud. And what Breeze actually does, it gives you full control over your content quality. It has an inbuilt analytics, so it analyzes all of your spaces, all of your pages, and provides you review workflows and archiving functionality to keep your Confluence clean, free of clutter. I'd like to showcase you a demo and demonstrate you how this works. What you are seeing here is our application Breeze. We are in a demo space. It's called test space in the Confluence system. We have some pages in our test space over here. And what in Breeze, at first, it's the overview. Here you see all of your spaces in one view. You see all of your pages in one view. And for each page, when has it been updated for the last time? When has it been viewed for the last time? You see the contributors to this particular page. So 3 persons have contributed writing content. And you see the content quality or the content relevance. So for instance, this page is still up to date. So that's good. Whereas this page, it's ready to be archived. So it's and this page, for instance, it needs review. Now you may ask yourself, where do these badges come from actually? Because someone has to assign them. And this is actually done by our system Breeze. So how does it work? As you can see, each space can be assigned a workflow. In this case, it's just the default workflow, but you can create own workflows, as we will see in a minute, and you can each workflow to each space over here. And you can set up analysis cycles for Breeze. For instance, in this example, Breeze is set to analyze your complete Confluence site each and every week. So each and every week, every space and every page will be analyzed whether your content is still relevant or not. And how is it doing this? Now let's take a look in the workflow editor over here. Now, if we take a look at this default, we see that this review required badge will be to pages that meet one of these conditions. And in this example, it's 30 days without any update or 60 days without any view. If one of these conditions is true, the system will assign this badge to the page and will notify these persons. You can specify if it should notify the page creator, the page owner, the last contributor, or all contributors, or maybe individual persons space app. So you will have lots of freedom here to decide which persons to notify. And the same is true for the archival badge. Here you can assign different criteria. For instance, pages that haven't been updated for 90 days will automatically mark as archivable. This makes sense in this example or not, it's not relevant, but maybe you have pages where if there hasn't been an update for maybe a year or so, all these pages will automatically get this badge. So you can put in 360 days over here. And also you can decide which persons to be notified over here. So as I said, that this is triggered in this example each and every week. And then these pages are analyzed according to the inbuilt analytics. And then these badges are given over here. You can also exclude pages like in this example from the analysis, because there are many examples of content that don't need to be reviewed because you already know this will stay there forever because it's so important. Now, what happens if the analysis is triggered? Will actually provide you a report. And this example, the report is put over here, but it can be specified in the settings where this report should land actually. This report contains a summary of all what's going on in your space. It summarizes the number of pages, how many pages are up to date, how many needs to be reviewed, how many are ready to be archived, and also the pages that are excluded from the analysis. And it also gives you a summary or kind of a task list for each notified person about the actions to take. For instance, Adrian has to review the following pages. So he's notified and your whole team can see the action steps necessary to take. Each person got a clear task list like section how to proceed. So if Adrian sees this page and is notified about his task, click on documentation and see that this page is marked as review required from the Breeze application. Review this page and decide if it's still up to date, then he could mark as it up to date, or decide if it's ready to be archived, then he can mark as is that archiving and provide a comment over here so that the admin later on can understand why this page is no longer needed. There are also more settings. I don't want to go into more detail on this, but you can also set the owner of a page. So this is a kind of a special attribute that we provided. You can also define exclusion rules. For instance, like I said before, maybe you want to exclude this page from the analysis or exclude all of the sub pages from the analysis. This makes sense in some cases. And you can also set an individual arc date, because for some content you already know this must be stored for 3 months or so, and then it's no longer relevant. So you can define this right away. As we go back into the application overview over here, we see here's a red dot. So this gives an indication that there are pages marked as ready to be archived. And then the admin or other persons with the appropriate rights can decide and can select pages how to proceed. They see all of the comments from the reviewer, understand why they are no longer needed. They see the notified people, which has been notified before, so they can start a discussion on if it's really true that these pages are ready to be archived. If are in doubt, and then they can archive the pages with a bulk action. It's just one click and everything is either archived or deleted depending on what you select over here. What is also important is we provide you with metrics. As you can see here, spaces do have a quality metric. This is the ratio between pages that are up to date and pages that either needs to be reviewed or are marked as. This is what we provide you with our first and initial release, our first version. We are already planning our next version, which is coming up some weeks later. And this will provide you with additional analytics. For instance, you can dive in and and really see how the quality history of your spaces is. You can see how spaces improve in quality over time. This is a motivator really for keeping your Confluence spaces clean and review regularly. You will also see bar charts where you can see the pages that are to date and pages that needs to be reviewed or that needs to be archived. And there will be additional diagrams. For instance, this diagram will show at which day interval how many of your pages have been actually viewed. Here, after 60 days, 27% of pages have been viewed. If you read it the other way around, it takes approximately 120 days so that half of your spaces and all of these pages, 50%, have actually been viewed. So this is a visual representation of how living your spaces really are.